Morning. I'm Mark Kimball, and I'm going to call this meeting of the Citizens Clean Elections Commission to order. It's 10 a.m. on April 23rd, 2026. With that, we will take attendance. Commissioners, please identify yourselves for the record.
Christina Werther.
Lee Titla, good morning.
Morning, Mr. Tidla. Commissioner Crump, I see you, but I don't hear you. I think you're muted, Commissioner Crump.
Sorry about that. I'm on my phone, which I'm usually not. Good morning.
Good morning. So we have 4 commissioners, which constitutes a quorum today. Item 2, discussion possible action on meeting minutes for March 26, 2026. Commissioners, you have the minutes from the March 26, 2026 meeting in your packets. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the minutes of March 26, 2026.
Thank you, Commissioners. Is there a second?
Second.
Was that Commissioner Crump?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes for March 26th. I will call the roll. Commissioner Werther,
Aye.
Commissioner Crump,
Aye.
Commissioner Titla.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. The minutes are approved 4-0. Item 3 is the Executive Director's Report, including enforcement, regulatory, and legislative issues. Legislative updates. Tom?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. I think the thing I wanted to highlight is our latest, as part of our voter education program and debate program, we filmed our third edition rather of our Inside the Issues series has to do with water. That's going to be released in May to our media partners. We had a really strong panel for this that included Sarah Porter from the Kyle Institute at ASU, and Sharon Megdal from the University of Arizona, and Vinitha Kartha, who's the Colorado River Programs Manager for CAP. So it's an incredibly substantive discussion that I think will provide the public with accurate and important information that they will allow them and candidates to be informed in the context of our debates. We do have a local election scheduled for May 19th. Voting began yesterday. In that, this includes a runoff in Tempe, as well as elections in Flagstaff, and Benson and Douglas. And then we're working on the voter education guide production, which will be hitting mailboxes on June 12th. And we have 247 candidates eligible for inclusion in the guide itself, the printed guide, and then candidate profiles remain open for submission on the website. Obviously, we continue to have a lot of outreach efforts by Avery and Gina with respect to voter education, and we're also working on finalizing our plans with respect to the Election Science Reform Administration Conference at the beginning of next month. Wanted to highlight a couple of legal issues. The No Labels Party Arizona Independent Party group did file a notice of appeal finally on April 13th. So but there's no effort underway to get a stay or to accelerate that I'm aware of. Then we also have the briefing underway in the appeal from the Superior Court's judgment on Prop 211. There is just to refresh, the Superior Court largely rejected the legislative leadership's claim that Prop 211 violates the sort of separation of powers and related principles. There is an aspect of it respecting the commission's the part of the act that seeks to protect the commission's rulemaking and enforcement decisions from legislative interference and other administrative interference. We have an issue there on how that statute is properly understood, and an issue about the breadth of the relief that the Superior Court granted on that narrow issue. I wanted to mention also we have I mentioned in there just because it's been in the news the case that's between the Maricopa County Recorder and the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors respecting how they divide authority around some administrative activities related to elections. That the Maricopa County Board voted yesterday to seek a stay there and then to appeal. And then also we have candidate qualifying challenges ongoing. With respect to complaints, I wanted to just note briefly that David Marshall, who had been running for the Corporation Commission and was proposed to be a clean candidate, he withdrew, and the complaint against him was mooted by that. It had to do with whether or not particular contributions from individuals that were made to his legislative campaign and he remained with that committee could be transferred. So that I closed that complaint upon his withdrawal from both candidacy and from the Clean Elections Program. Finally, on the legislative front, we've mentioned a couple of months ago, we mentioned a couple of bills, one on changing the primary date in particular. Right now, given the governor's view that that she's not going to sign any other bills, she'll veto bills that are sent to her. There's not a lot of legislative activity as far as the election-related bills that we've been monitoring, and not too much legislative activity at all, pending some movement on the budget. So, with that sort of completes my summary of my report. I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Do any members of the commission have any questions for Tom? Hearing none, we'll move on to item 4. Discussion possible action on the 2026 primary voter education survey. For the past several years, the commission has had a survey of voters' views on issues to develop our debate program. Survey results are made available to candidates, moderators, and voters via our website. Kristen Altman from Reister is here to walk us through the survey. Kristen?
Thank you, Chairman Campbell. Thank you, commissioners. As stated, I'm Kristen Altman. I'm with Reister. We were happy to help with conducting this poll this year and are eager to share our top line findings with you. This report will be shared with you for reading in full. There's quite a bit of information here. So in the interest of time, I'm going to try and complete this in about 25 minutes. So I may skip over some slides. Feel free to chime in if you need me to slow down. But as I said, we will also be providing it for you to read as well. So we can go ahead and dive in. I'm going to take you through the objective and methodology of the research. Then I will take you through key findings and the regional analysis. And let me back up one moment just to give you a little bit more background on myself. I am the Associate Director of Strategy at Reister. So that's my position. I've got many years of research and strategy under my belt. So little bit of an intro. Okay, objective and methodology. This was an online survey. We heard from 1,632 Arizona registered voters statewide. It was an online survey, like I said, and we fielded it in May March the 6th through the 20th. This study was last conducted in March of 2024, and our plan is to conduct it again, most likely in August prior to the general election. So as was mentioned previously, really the goal of doing this study is to have the most timely data in terms of what voters care about in terms of issues, so that when we go into the debates, the moderators have fresh information on what's top of mind and can tailor their questions appropriately. So in terms of top line findings, we've got 11 here. I'll take you through those. Issues. So the top issues among Arizonans are affordable housing, election security, and inflation and rising prices. That's when people are given a whole host of issues, which we'll take a look at in a moment, to choose from. Then we ask them to choose their single most important issue, and that came out as inflation and rising prices. We will talk a lot about the differences between parties when we move forward in the deck, but overall, voters are saying that they're most likely to side with their party, but they are really wanting candidates to find common ground across the issues, and we identify a few areas where we feel this can be done. Perception in terms of sentiment, voter sentiment is another key issue that we wanted to get a feel for. A substantial number of voters are saying that the local, national, and community economy is getting worse. Slightly fewer are saying that their personal financial situation is getting worse, but for the most part, it's a pretty bleak sentiment, which is something we saw in 2024 as well. So that's not necessarily unique to this year, but people are feeling the crunch, which goes with the inflation, rising prices concern. ICE is one of the most polarizing issues. Voters are saying, and we'll show you what the answer choices were on this, but they support a more moderate approach to solve the problem. Foreign policy matters. This was interesting. They're somewhat polarizing, but quite a few voters really have no opinion. This was one of the issues when we went through all this variety of issues, where we had quite a few people saying, I just don't fall on either side of that issue. So we feel that there's probably an opportunity, which we'll talk about later, for further educating people on what's going on. Half of Republicans are saying that Arizona is heading in the right direction. 40% of Democrats are saying that the state is headed in the wrong direction under the current leadership. We'll take a look at the breakdown regarding education and a variety of factors there. Republicans are largely satisfied with the status quo. We did see significant alignment on the issue of water and land, air, water protection across party lines, which was interesting. Particularly water, voters are considering this really an existential issue for the future of the state. We talked a bit about this. Aligning with your party's affiliation is something people want to do, but agreeing on issues is what matters even more to the electorate. So on one of the final slides in this deck, you'll see that about 60% of people, and this is across parties, independents, Republicans, Democrats, and other, are saying that they would vote across party lines if the candidate agrees with them on the issues. And then finally, people want a fighter as a candidate, someone who is standing up for their issues, values, and beliefs. That's relevant to 3/4 of the electorate. And attitude and temperament are important to 2/3 of the electorate. And that really underscores the importance of the debates. People and other qualitative research that has been done really talk about the debates as being an opportunity, a rare, I should say, opportunity of something that's not produced and heavily, handled. It's actually a rare moment where you can see a candidate responding how they would in real life, which is valued these days. Okay, so for key findings, I'm just going to linger on these slides. There are about a dozen here before we get to the breakdown of the top three parties. So let's go ahead. I'll kind of let you know when to move through, but this is a breakdown of the parties, the ethnicity and race, the age breakdown. We have a note here that moving forward, all of these are broken down by party lines, household income, and then education level. Voting behavior. So we have, we ask people if they voted in the 2022 midterm election or the 2024 presidential election. We ask them also if they're planning on voting in the midterm, and we have that broken down by party. This is our question about whether Arizona is heading in the right direction, on the right track, or in the wrong direction. And then we start to get into the issues in more granular detail. So we ask which of the following are most important to you to know a candidate's position on when voting in an Arizona state office election. And then we have a variety of economic factors listed there. And inflation and rising prices came out on top, followed by gas prices. Which of the following are important for you? Okay, so this is our government and housing. We've got affordable housing as a top concern among Democrats and independents. Government inefficiencies and waste was Republicans' top concern in this set of questions, second to government fraud. This is our healthcare question. So Democrats really showed concern about healthcare affordability and access for low income and older Arizonans. Behavioral health programs and substance use disorder programs were trailed among all. For Republicans, these topics also mattered, but they were not as much as among the Democrats. Environment and climate, this is where we have our question about water and land, air, water, and you can see that the preference for candidates who are taking these issues seriously are quite high. Immigration, we've got a lot of polarization here. So you can see Republicans are really tuned into all aspects of immigration and respond very favorably to what's being done. Democrats are more interested in DACA, Dreamers, war refugees. You can see a spike there under that answer choice for the blue bar. All right, education. Again, blue bars are spiking here across a variety of factors. Democrats really are very concerned about all aspects of education and its support going forward. Independents and other are kind of in between Republicans and Democrats. All right, so this is our issue slide where I'm going to take a little bit more time. So this is where we say three most important issues, which I touched on in our initial top line findings, but now we've got it broken down by Republican, Democrat, Independent, and other. So you can see when we look at the all, that security issues, mail-in voting, voter IDs, paper ballots, the election security topic, really that in the all sector is being driven up by Republicans really caring strongly about that issue, whereas we don't see it coming up among Democrats, independents, and other quite as strong. However, and we do have some verbatim answers where people were asked to explain why they chose their top issue. And we really dug into those. And among Democrats, independents, and others, there is, as you can see here, concern about government fraud and corruption. That is top of mind for them, but not so much election security. So affordable housing, inflation and rising prices, you see that coming up among Democrats and independents, but I'll just linger here for a second and let you all take a look at this and let me know if you have any questions. And then this is where we drill down and say, okay, give us your single most important issue. And overall, we had inflation. That gray box is the entire sample, 1,600 people. The top answer was inflation and rising prices. And then we've got it broken down by party below that. Okay, so voter sentiment, we've got this is where we dig into the question of are things getting better, worse, or staying the same? And we have it on 4 different factors. So national economy, state economy, local economy, and personal financial situation. Then we have all, and we have it broken down by party. So you can see that those getting worse numbers are quite high when we're looking at national. We've got 62% saying the national economy is getting worse. And then as you go down, the numbers, down to your personal financial situation, still not great. 47% are saying it's getting worse, but it's not as seen as dire, I guess, as the national economy number at 62. Democrats have that number at 83. Okay. Again, I'm just going to let you take a look at these so that I can get to some later slides. This is our voter sentiment on immigration, where we dig in a little bit more on what is your level of support? How much do you support or oppose what's being done in terms of immigration in the United States and ICE? And this is where we see that slightly more support on focusing on specific cases, even if it means the total number of deportations decrease. But again, that's very polarized by party. This is asking if people want ICE facilities in Surprise, if they want them in Arizona, not. Again, polarized by party lines, not a very popular thing once you get to the point of would you like one in your neighborhood. Foreign policy is also polarizing. Most Republicans are saying that they're supportive of what's happening currently. But as mentioned earlier, a lot of respondents are indifferent. So this is indicating a need to provide more education around the purpose and goals and consequences of foreign policy. We asked about the Iran war. Republicans were more likely in March to say that they support the war, while a slight majority of Democrats and a third of the independents and other opposed the war. A quarter are saying that they're not really supporting or opposing. We have some questions here about tariffs as well. And again, you see some differences by party lines. Okay, this is what I was thinking about. So despite being polarized in their support of tariffs, when we asked them about possible solutions, the parties did align on this concept of thinking about renegotiating that selection that is very popular says negotiate new trade agreements that lower tariffs on all sides. So there is some appetite for working together in order to renegotiate the situation with regard to tariffs. 42% of Democrats hope to eliminate most tariffs. 1 in 3 independents support that as well. All right, this is a lot more detail on water as well. We've talked about the alignment that we're seeing in terms of conservation of water. This is where we ask about agreeing with whether it's important for a candidate to agree on the issue and or be a member of your preferred party. So agreeing with the candidate on issues and party alignment are what matter most to people. But independents really stand out. You can see that spike there in terms of assigning greater importance to issues alignment, right? They're not tied to a specific party. Please rate your agreement with these statements. So this is where we ask specifically about voting across party lines, wanting parties to work together, wanting candidates to really stand firm, even if it means there's gridlock. And then we provided these two statements. I cannot see myself voting for a Republican. I cannot see myself voting for a Democrat. And we've got scores on each of those factors, broken down by party. So the insights, independents are most open to voting across party lines. There is strong agreement across the electorate that they want parties to be able to work together. In terms of standing firm, even if it results in gridlock, the electorate is split. The Republican respondents were slightly more open to vote for the other party or other parties. I'm sorry, for Democrats than Democrats were saying that they're likely to vote for a Republican. This is a continuation. So, right, open to policies from both parties. Candidate personally matters as much as candidate's personality matters. They want a candidate who will fight for their issues. There is strong demand for assertiveness. People really do want a fighter, and preferring candidates who collaborate. There's no need to be rude. This idea that we want we may want them to stand firm, but we want them to be civil. And that's important. And that's another thing that people are looking for in the debates. All right, regional analysis. So we have these regions are all broken down across all of the questions that I've gone through today, and we're going to pull out some highlights for you. We've added Central Phoenix this year as well. So we'll take a look at issues first, and then we'll look at sentiment. So when we break this down, we've highlighted the top issues, which are consistent, but it is interesting. The first thing that jumps out here is affordable housing being stronger in some areas than others. We see the inflation numbers being, for the most part, quite high across the board. But there is, the takeaway here is that there is some variation across regions. So it is helpful to see this broken out. In terms of, this is more of our regional analysis for sentiment, when we ask if the state economy is getting better, worse, or staying the same, you can see that Tucson had the highest at 66%, feeling that the state economy is getting worse. But you can see the breakdown across the board here with a majority feeling that things are not great. Would you say your personal financial situation, same question, getting worse, better, staying the same? And then the breakdown there as well. And that's it. I flew through. If there's anything else you have questions on, or if you'd like to revisit any of these slides, I'm more than happy to do that.
Thank you, Kristen. Any questions or comments from members of the commission?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Commissioner Werther?
I was just wanting to know more about your sample size and sort of how was this sort of like people opt in, like phone calls, online, like how did you sort of get to, people to actually provide the input? And then I just had a specific question about rural Arizona, since it's sort of a wide swath of sort of proportionately.
Yeah.
Is it based on, a population, like just how much rural Arizona, I guess, was considered?
Yeah. So let me answer those in reverse order. Rural Arizona on the addendum slide, I think a few slides back, towards further, it was anything that wasn't in the zip codes that were in those other 5 regions. So we grouped, that's how we segmented the rural respondents. And then in terms of sample, yes. So we work with a panel provider. It's one of the largest in the nation. It's called Sago. They tend to, these panel providers tend to use a variety of methods in terms of getting their sample. So that can be online ads, networking, word of mouth, social media ads. They have like team members who go out to community organizations and recruit people to be on the panel. So it's a huge variety of sources that they use to sign people up to be potential respondents to quant and qualitative research for large companies like this. And then we're able to say, we want to speak to people only in Arizona. And then we requalify them in the survey that we build on our end. And we ensure that everyone is selecting Arizona, selecting that they're registered to vote. Those were our criteria for this study. And if not, they're thanked and they are not, allowed to proceed. Yeah.
So following up on what Commissioner Werther was asking, so what is the level of confidence that this is accurate?
So we always try to, it is highly confident, highly accurate, because it's essentially 388 at 95% confidence level, and 388 being sample size is what the minimum that we do for a research study. We wanted it to be 1,600 so that when we drilled down on these smaller segments, the segments would be large enough to feel confident about. So the overall sample being 1,600, highly confident. I will say the other group, which was libertarians, Greens, no labels, and I don't know, but I'm registered, that was a smaller sample size. It was not, so I mean, that is not significant. So I guess my answer is that it varies by sample size. But for the large parties, it is large enough to be highly confident, accurate. Yeah.
So the main purpose of this was to kind of shape the discussion going into the debates.
Yes.
And are we doing other things? I mean, this is a significant survey in terms of numbers.
Mhm.
Are we doing anything else to get the results of this out there to the general public
Yes.
other than posting it on our website?
Mhm.
Thanks, Kristen. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, yes. So how we intend to use this, it will be provided to every moderator who is in our moderator pool for both our statewide and federal debates and also our legislative debates. So they will have access to it. We are also giving access to this to our candidates. So when they confirm their participation in our debate and we're communicating with them, prior to their debate, we are giving them what is essentially a preparation package to help them understand, okay, here's the format, here's, your length of time to be speaking for opening and closing statements. For our broadcast debates, we are giving them the actual topics, not questions, but the topics for discussion. And then we're giving them the research, saying, this is the research that we have that was provided to the moderators. So that way you can prepare yourself and you can see where the voters in your region or statewide care about the issues, and the moderators may make reference to this. We are also hoping to do some public relations with this and hopefully get it out to our media partners, other entities that we have relationships with, and then of course, posting it on our website and our social. We are also using this to inform not only our debates, but our Inside the Issues coverage that we are doing. So this could speak to, as Tom mentioned in the ED report, we just did one on water. Looking at the results of this information can help us say, okay, maybe immigration is our next topic or something to that extent, seeing where the numbers fall. And then, of course, we will be using it for all of our own content, like our People's Ledger, our newsletter, things like that. So we intend to also get this out to voters to say, hey, did you know that people, maybe in Tucson and the Pima area care about these top 3 issues, learn more and hear the candidates talk about this at the Clean Elections debates. So we do have a lot of plans for how to push this information out to the public.
Okay, thank you, Gina. Any other questions or comments from members of the commission? Thank you, Gina. Thank you, Kristen. Kind of buried in paper here. Item 5, discussion possible action on an amendment to Rule R2-20-113 relating to the Commission's voter education guide. This rule implements the statutory requirements for preparation and publication of the guide. Tom, do you want to walk us through this proposed amendment?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The commission authorized us to circulate this for public comment at our February meeting, and this is effectively a cleanup amendment to align our rule with the statute, with the addition of county candidates to the voter education guide. So that's what it does. Were you to approve it unanimously, you may, it would be within your discretion if you wanted to indicate you'd like it to be effective immediately. If GERC were to authorize it to be effective immediately, because the statute ultimately prevails, I'm not completely convinced that immediate effectiveness is absolutely necessary, right? But it certainly it can't hurt to ask. But that's really it. We did not receive any public comments. I don't know if anybody here wants, but we didn't receive any written public comments. And so, if there are people here to make public comment on this rule, obviously, this would be an appropriate time for that. But we don't have any other comments.
So just to clarify, up till now, the voter guide that voters get in the mail included information only on federal candidates, statewide candidates, and legislative candidates.
Mr. Chairman, by statute, it was only statewide and legislative. And in the last session, the legislature included county-wide candidates and Board of Supervisors candidates, not county judicial candidates or precinct-based county candidates.
Okay, thank you. Any members of the commission want to make any comments on this? Is there anybody here wishing to comment on this item in the agenda, or anyone online? Hearing none, do I have a motion regarding this proposed rule amendment?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the amendment to Administrative Rule R2-20-113 relating to the Commission Voter Education Guide to be effective immediately.
Thank you, Commissioner Werther. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Crump. It's been moved and seconded that we move ahead on this amendment to Rule R2-20-113 relating to the voter education guide. I will call the roll. Commissioner Werther,
Aye.
Commissioner Crump,
Aye.
Commissioner Titla.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. The motion is approved 4-0. Item 6, discussion possible action on the order assessing penalties and notice of appealable agency action in MUR 25-03 involving Monica Timberlake, a 2025 legislative candidate. Commissioners, you have the proposed order in your packets. The executive director will present his recommendations, and then Ms. Timberlake, if she is in attendance or if anyone representing her is in attendance, will have an opportunity to respond. Tom?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. This is, as the Chairman said, this is the order and notice of appealable action respecting the complaint against Ms. Timberlake this matter had two components to it. One was a repayment order that the commission issued last year. This is this complaint, and then at the last meeting, you determined that there was probable cause to believe the facts in outlined in the probable cause memo. This order, as factual matter, goes through the facts underlying the complaint that were confirmed, and specifically that Ms. Timberlake did not timely file campaign finance reports that she was obligated to file under the Act, the rules, and under her agreement to participate. She did not provide and has not provided to the auditors for the commission the backup documentation respecting those reports. She has not, with respect to repayment, she has admitted that she has around $5,000 in clean elections funds. Still, we have not received those funds. And then the last issue, based on her communications with us at admissions, is that her books and records were not organized sufficiently for her to timely file the reports, nor to provide that information to the auditors timely. So those are the facts, and our recommendation with respect to a penalty. As I think we've discussed many times, the penalties under the Act for failure to file can be significant. We've recommended a reduction of the fines respecting the failure to file. Roughly, that nets out as the equivalent of the amount of money that she got from clean elections. It's off by about $3,000. So we think that's a reasonable resolution. We have provided notice for this meeting and for meetings throughout the process. We understand, and I think that in the record, you have indicate that Ms. Timberlake has a standing appointment that she's unwilling or unable to move on Thursday mornings. But we've never received, for example, a formal request that we move our meeting, nor any documentation or anything else respecting that. So, I feel it's important to acknowledge that, but in my view, absent some engagement on the issues that involve the disgorgement of what money she agrees she still has from clean elections and providing the records to the auditor, et cetera, I don't think that that's a particularly strong excuse or mitigator. So with that, I am happy to answer any questions the commission has.
So just to summarize, almost 2 years ago, Ms. Timberlake received $31,760 in clean elections funds, and we don't know how she spent it. And she has either not kept records indicating how she spent it, or she has not provided them to us. So your proposal is that she repay that plus $3,000 in various penalties.
If I could clarify, we've already done the repayment on order in a separate proceeding. These fines are separate from that. This is so it will be an additional $31,000 in fines plus the I think it's $3,000 in additional fines for the additional violations. So there will be where she get the notice, appeal, resolved, et cetera. The total amount of under this order would be around $34,000. There's a separate order with respect to repayment that is effective, and there was no appeal for the amount of the clean elections money.
Okay, thank you. Is Ms. Timberlake here, or is anyone representing Ms. Timberlake here? Let the record show no one is here and Ms. Timberlake is not here. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address this matter on the agenda, or anyone on Zoom? Any member of the commission have any comments?
Mr. Chairman, I just have a clarification question to Tom. So in the penalty section, as you mentioned, it says the total was 34,760,
Mhm.
but then the order, the next line says hereby imposes a civil penalty of 320,600.
Oh, that is a mistake.
Okay, I just want to know what penalty we're imposing.
Sorry. Yes. No. The penalty is the 34,000, and we can. If I apologize. If we could in your motion, we can certainly
Okay.
take care of
For that, can I just say the amount?
Yes.
Okay.
I think. I mean, that's not. That would be my recommendation, but that's not. I'm not the
Craig?
final word on
I have
that.
to say the amount.
Yes, ma'am. Commissioner, you can just say the amount.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Commissioner Crump.
Yeah, my question was going to be the same. I was confused. I didn't have the paperwork in front of me, but in reviewing in preparation for this, I saw the 320, but I think I even saw on an updated order 370. And so I was confused, but that number has nothing to do with what we're talking about, right?
Correct.
That's correct, Commissioner Crump.
Okay.
And we'll clear that up in the motion.
Okay, I guess I would ask a follow-up question then,
Sure.
if I may, for Tom. So I'm hearing, if I'm hearing correctly, there was a separate order for the repayment of funds, and then this is a penalty, and just coincidentally, the number, or maybe not coincidentally, but the number is roughly similar to the original amount that she received, correct?
So it is coincidental. I mean, it's not a targeted number. What it is 10% of the overall potential fine. Okay, so the overall potential fine was 317,600. We reduced that to 31,760. I just want to also point out that the notice that we issued to Ms. Timberlake specifies the 34,760. So so the letter that I filed with you and with her, has the correct, and clear number, and it has it has both the exposure and the final recommendation in the notice letter. So it's a coincidence, but I think it's of some. I think it warrants acknowledging. In other words, I think that the fact that it doesn't exceed the amount of the underlying fine is the underlying repayment helps to tie it to some degree of proportionality.
Okay, Mr. Chairman and Tom, and so if we were to approve this recommended order today, am I correct in understanding there would be two orders against her totaling roughly $70,000 to $75,000, something like that?
That, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Crump, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for clearing that up, Commissioner Crump. Any other questions or comments from members of the commission? Hearing none, do we have a motion on this item?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the order assessing penalties and notice of appealable agency action in MUR 25-03 in the matter of Monica Timberlake for the amount of $34,760.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Crump. Before we move ahead, Craig, does that meet your concerns?
Mr. Chairman, yes, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Craig. It's been moved and seconded that that we move ahead on order MUR 25-03 for assessing penalties of $34,760. I will call the roll. Commissioner Werther,
Aye.
Commissioner Crump,
Aye.
Commissioner Titla.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. The motion is approved 4-0. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Item 7, public comment. This is the time for consideration of comments and suggestions from the public. Action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, rescheduling the matter for further consideration, or responding to criticism. Please limit your comments to no more than 5 minutes. Is there any member of the public wishing to make a comment? Come forward and state your name for the record, please. And please limit your comments to 5 minutes.
Yes. Good morning, Commissioners. Executive Director Collins. My name is Alex Logvin. I'm an SRP ratepayer and a registered voter. I'm here because 72.3% of Arizona voters passed Prop 211 for one reason: transparency. We want to know who is spending money to influence our elections. And for 3 years, this commission has failed to deliver on that promise. Not a single Voter Right to Know Act penalty, no enforcement actions, complaints that seem to be swept under the rug without ever reaching this board for a vote. On March 26th, Mr. Collins told this commission there is a rule that allows the executive director to close a complaint. That rule is R2-20-811F, and yes, it says he may dismiss the complaint at any time. But here's the problem. ARS 16977A, the statute you are charged with enforcing, says the commission shall investigate. Not may, not the executive director, the commission. That's you. A regulatory may cannot override a statutory shall. For the violations exceeding $50,000, and Turning Point Action has spent millions, Section 16-977C specifically says prosecutorial discretion cannot justify dismissal or inaction. Mr. Collins has used 811F to dismiss every single Prop 211 complaint that has come before this body today. 5 of them: Arizona Senate Victory Fund, Make Liberty Win, Stand for Children, Arizona Solutions PAC, and Opportunity Arizona. This board never voted on any of them. The dismissal letter showed up in the packet after the fact. This is the opposite of what the statute requires. On April 6th, I filed a formal VRKA complaint with this commission against Turning Point Action. I see today's packet has it docketed as MUR 26-03. It joins 2 other Turning Point complaints, MUR 25-04 and MUR 25-05, that have been sitting with the commission for 7 months without disposition. 5 prior Prop 211 complaints, 5 dismissals, 3 against Turning Point, no action. You can see the pattern. Commissioners, Prop 211 was about transparency. What is happening here is the opposite of transparency. Complaints are being handled in the dark at the staff level without your knowledge or vote. I'm formally requesting that this commission demand a full accounting of every VRKA complaint received, and that VRKA enforcement is added to a recurring agenda item in every meeting going forward. No more closed-door dispositions. Every legitimate complaint investigated. Every result reported to this board in open session. I plan on being here next month, and the month after that, and the month after that, until we can see some more transparency from this commission. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Does anyone else wish to make a comment? Yes, ma'am. Could you come forward and state your name for the record?
Thank you for your service and for your background as prosecutor, legislator.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not.
no,
This button?
well, it's not green. When the previous gentleman was speaking, the light was green, so. Did we plug something?
He was the last person. It's not perfect.
Why don't you come up here and speak?
Hello. Oh. Okay. Good morning, commissioners, and specifically Commissioner Crump. My name is Paige Spencer, and I am an Arizona voter. Thank you for your service on this commission and for your service to the country. Your background as a prosecutor, legislator, and member of the armed forces gives you a particular clarity about how statutes and rules are supposed to interact, and that's useful here. On a consent agreement last September, you asked if we theoretically wanted to reject this proposed agreement and just enforce the statute, which is the kind of question a prosecutor asks. It means you're reading the statute carefully and thinking about what authority actually exists on the page, not just what's been done in the past. I'd like to ask you to bring that same eye to a procedural question previously referenced by Executive Director Collins regarding the rule letting staff close a complaint. I am not a lawyer, but my interpretation is that Article 2 under the Clean Elections Act, R2-20-206A3, and the Article 8 rules adopted for Proposition 211 in October of 2023, R2-20-809 through 813, don't contain the same authority. As a lawyer, you know these are separate regulatory articles governing separate statutes. I may be reading that wrong, and if so, I'd welcome the correction. If this question is answered in open session, it will no longer be a source of confusion. The statute also says the Commission shall investigate Voters' Right to Know Act complaints. I would love to see that applied the way a prosecutor would apply any mandatory statutory duty, transparently, on the record, with the Commission casting the final votes. Before he became a Supreme Court Justice, Louis Brandeis wrote in 1913 that sunlight is said to be the best of disinfectants. My final request is the same one that you previously heard from Alex, a recurring VRKA status moment on the agenda so the public can clearly watch these cases move. Thank you for your service and for your time.
Thank you very much. Does anyone else wish to make a comment? Yes, sir. Sir, why don't you come forward? I saw you first. Why don't you come up here too?
Good morning. My name is Bill Garris, and I am an Arizona voter. I'll be brief because the people who spoke before me have said most of what needs saying. I want to make sure the Commission understands what happens next. On April 6th, a formal VRKA complaint was filed with this Commission. Your Executive Director has had it for 17 days. His 5-day jurisdictional review period under R2-20-809D expired on April 13th. The respondent notification deadline under R2-20-810 was April 20th. As of today, the complaint should have a case number and the respondent should have been notified. Has any of that happened? Has Mr. Collins told you about it? ARS 16-977C gives Arizona voters a private right of action. If this commission dismisses a complaint or fails to act within 90 days, the complainant can file a civil action in Superior Court to compel enforcement. The court reviews your decision de novo. That means fresh, no deference to your judgment. And for violations exceeding $50,000, and Turning Point Action has spent millions by its own admission, the statute specifically says that prosecutorial discretion cannot justify dismissal or inaction. Let me repeat that. For violations over $50,000, you cannot claim discretion. It is written into the law you are charged with enforcing. The Unity Rising complaint's 90-day clock expired 5 months ago. The April 6th complaints clock is now running. If this commission does not act, voters will in court. And one more thing, Mr. Collins told you on March 26th that there is a rule that allows him to close complaints. That rule is R2-20-11F, and yes, it says he may dismiss the complaint at any time. But ARS 16-977A says the commission shall investigate. A regulatory may cannot override a statutory shall, and 16-977C says that for violations exceeding $50,000, prosecutorial discretion cannot justify dismissal or inaction. If the April 6th complaint is dismissed without a vote of this commission, on a matter involving millions in alleged VRKA spending. That will be part of the court filing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Ma'am?
Hello, Commissioners. My name is Catherine Solon. I'm an Arizona voter, and I'm one of that 72% that voted for Prop 211. And I'm coming here today to thank you for your work, to thank you for adding these cases to the docket, MUR 2603, 2504, 2505. Thank you for defending Prop 211 in the courts. Acknowledging that there is legislative action that may defund this commission, and to let you know that I'm one of those voters that would be helping to fight that, because I think your work is important. I have a couple of asks today, and some is repetitive of people who've already spoken. I want to ask you to investigate MUR 2603. I want to ask you to assign a case number to AZFRG. I want to ask you to continue to keep these VRKA cases on your docket. And then sort of really in general, it would be very helpful for the general public if you would define the process that you're using to consider these complaints and put it on your website so people will know how to file a complaint, what will happen, when you will consider, and so that the general public could understand this. This initiative was passed for transparency and accountability, and we appreciate your work. And then finally, I'd like to ask that great survey that we heard earlier today, can you put a link to it on your website or let the general public find it somewhere? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to make comment? Yes, sir.
Is it on? Okay, perfect. Mr. Chair, Commissioners, Director Collins, my name is Jacob George. I am a concerned Arizona voter and a founder of Unity Rising USA. I am deeply concerned that I haven't heard back about the status of my complaint that was submitted in July of 2025 against Turning Point Action and their PAC under Prop 211, the Voter Rights to Know Act. We received TPUSA's response and responded back to the Commission in August and has been dead silent since. Arizonans voted for Prop 211 by an overwhelmingly majority and would like it to be treated as such. Are we all here to hold bad actors accountable and use the enforcement mechanisms that Arizonans handed to you, or are we here to twiddle our thumbs and look the other way? Arizonans deserve to know who's buying their elections. And I'm just going to kind of second what everyone else said. As a school board member, though, I truly thank you for your time and service to this commission. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who wishes to make a comment? Yes, sir. Come forward and state your name for the record.
Hey, good morning still, actually. My name is John Trevice. I'm a combat veteran and was the first time running for office to the recent SRP district election. I ran for council and won. I'm speaking for myself, though, as an ratepayer. I ran my campaign by the rules. I filed on time. I itemized my donors. I've filed every report under signature of perjury. And I sat here today and watched the commission move to find a school board candidate over $70,000 on a $31,000 funds for a filing failure. That tells me enforcement exists when the commission decides to do it. On April 6th, the complaint was filed with the commission alleging Turning Point Action failed to disclose its finances and it was improperly integrated with the candidates it supported. Since then, the Arizona Republic has reported one of those candidates gave $200,000 to Turning Point in the 2 years before the race. The scale of the money involved in the SRP race was orders of magnitude larger than the school board matter the commission just acted on. My concern is not my race. I won. The concern is about whether this tells first-time candidates about whether the rules are real. My concern are if filing failure by a small candidate warrants $70,000 in penalties, a complaint alleging $200,000 in undisclosed donations and improper coordination warrants at least an investigation on a meaningful timeline. I'm not asking for a particular conclusion. I'm asking you for the same enforcement posture you just demonstrated. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm not sure I should say this, but point of clarification, that Ms. Timberlake was running for the legislature, not for the school board. Is there anyone else who wishes to make a comment today? Yes, would you please come forward?
Good morning, commissioners. My name is Judy Robbins. I'm a voter and a person who is concerned with our election laws, that I am a volunteer for petition gathering and circulating. I am very concerned about what has happened over the time that Proposition 211 had been passed, and I have seen absolutely nothing. I concur with all of the folks that stood up here before me, and I am frustrated. As a person who wants to see accountability and transparency, and that's why I worked so hard to get this thing on the ballot and to make sure that voters understood it, and they overwhelmingly passed it by 72%. We need a commission like yourselves to have teeth when voters complain about violations to this law, and making sure that we have enough transparency and enough accountability that people could trust a clean elections commission to do the work that we have as an electorate set out for you to do. This is not a choice. This is a mandate. And we really would love to see some acknowledgement of number one, the work you're doing to address the complaints, as well as the complaints, the process in which you make decisions around timelines, and of course, making this process transparent so voters like myself and the electorate in general knows who's giving what money to whom, and to know that our laws that we craft by law in our Arizona Constitution is followed through with accountability and have enough teeth to be a deterrent for our future candidates for office, whether they're clean elections candidates or they're self-funded, or, you know, whomever is interested in stepping forward needs to know that they have a playing field that they can count on, and a commission that will take on that challenge and not look away. This is why the voters wrote the bill the way or the proposition the way it was, that you should not have that discretion and it should be followed through. I would hope that in future that you would use your teeth and make sure that our clean commissioners are responsible for the accountability and transparency that we so chose to set forth to you. Thank you so much for all your work. I know the work is very challenging, and I appreciate all the time you spend. And I am a defender as well, like Catherine, of fighting against those legislators who want to defund and close this program. So thank you so much. And I hope that moving forward, I'll see some changes. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to make comments? Anyone on Zoom who wishes to make a comment? As I said before the comments started, action taken as a result of these comments will be limited to directing staff to study the matter or rescheduling it for further consideration. Thank you very much for taking the time to come down here and give us your comments. The public may also submit comments by email at ccec@azcleanelections.gov. Item 8, adjournment. At this time, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. What?
I don't know. if Mr. Crump wanted to speak on.
No, okay.
Mr. Chairman, I move to adjourn.
Thank you, Commissioner Werther. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Crump. It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn. I'll call the roll. Commissioner Werther,
Aye.
Commissioner Crump,
Aye.
Commissioner Tidla,